What's up, guys? I realize it's been forever since my last video, at least over a month, I believe, since I got the OnePlus One 64GB version. And when I made that unboxing video about a month ago, I mentioned that I was going to bring a full review and, between classes and final exams, things like that, just all got crazy. Never got a chance to make the review video, so it's the end of the semester, I have all kinds of time, so here goes. Now, before I get going, I just want to add that I really, all semester long, just been sitting there doing my homework and studying and writing things like that. And it's just been killing me because I really want to make YouTube videos, but with all the stuff I have going on for school, it just makes it really hard. I know the live show that Nate and I used to do, I really like to do that. So maybe, hopefully next semester I can get into it. If not, we can get back to it this summer. Then hopefully next semester I'll be able to get videos going at least every other week. That's really what I'm hoping for. But we'll see what happens there. Alright guys, so here it is again. This is, again, the 64GB OnePlus One from China, from the company OnePlus, obviously. So this is the Sandstone black model, and it really, when they say Sandstone, it does have a different feel to it. So while we're talking about how the back is, I'm going to go ahead and start off with the build quality. And so one of the reasons I was on an iPhone for so long was mainly because it had just great build quality. It's made of metal, so you really like the way it feels in your hand. It has some heft, and that's one of the things that this guy has going for it. It's not just plastic feeling. So around the edge here, you have your chromed rim, I guess is the best way to describe it, and lifted up from that. I'm sure you won't be able to see it very well with this camera, but basically is the screen is lifted up to where you probably don't want to set it down on the flat surface like I did at the beginning of this video, just because it touches the table and it'll get scratched. So that's why I have this case. It's like a Distronic brand, I believe. $10 case, Amazon, and it keeps the screen protected. So being on an iPhone 5 for almost 2 years, I was used to, a 4-inch screen and holding something that small in my hand. But when I pulled this out of the box, if you remember from the unboxing, my first comment was, this thing is huge. And it really is. I mean, people tell me all the time, first off, they ask me what phone I'm using, but then the second off, they tell me how huge and ridiculous looking my phone is. So I really did get used to it though. I pull my iPhone out of my drawer now and it feels like a toy. So honestly, you really do get used to it. Now, one of the big things for me, coming from the iPhone, which had alright battery life, was how the battery life was going to be. Now, if you ask me, the battery life on this guy is pretty solid. You get a 3100 milliamp hour battery, and for that, you get almost pretty much a day's use every time. I've had days where I've gone to bed with 40% just because I didn't use the phone a whole lot. And I've also had days where I've gone to bed having to have charged it already. So it really depends, but on an average day, I get down to about 20% when I'm ready to hit the hay. So it honestly really has served me well for a $300 phone especially. Now, if you're asking me, I'm going to tell you that this screen is amazing. There's bugs, of course, with every software, but in terms of the hardware, this thing is phenomenal for what you pay for this. I paid $350 because, it's the 64GB model, but if you're paying $300 for the 16GB version, even then, it's still a great value. This is a 5.5-inch 1080p IPS LCD display right here. And when they say 1080p, they really mean it. It is full HD. Videos on YouTube, things like that are phenomenal. I couldn't be happier with it, honestly. It performs really well in pretty much any light. I use auto brightness, so it adjusts based on where I'm at, if I'm outside, if I'm in a dark room, that type of thing. It does well everywhere, so I can't really ask for much more from a phone this cheap. Now, when I reviewed the Moto G a while back when I had that phone, one of the gripes I had was the camera, and on that one, that was because it was like a 5-megapixel camera. And on this one, it's a 13-megapixel camera you get here with a dual flash, and it does all right. It does about just as good as my iPhone 5 did, and that had an 8-megapixel camera. There's just a lot of stuff that Apple does behind the scenes to make image stabilization and optics work better. So in that department, this could do better. But on the front, you have a 5-megapixel camera, and it does well also, but really, honestly, the only thing I use my front camera for is things like Snapchat, and Snapchat, I believe, scales down your resolution, so it doesn't really do any good to have that great of a front camera unless you're really into selfies, I guess. Now, one of the big things about this phone is CyanogenMod. I think it does really well. Like I said, Android and battery life is kind of wonky sometimes. Sometimes you'll have weird apps draining your battery. For me, that problem was Yik Yak, for example. And so that was draining my battery by using my GPS all the time. But other than that, CyanogenMod does really well, and it fits the device well. And OnePlus was made for Cyanogen, so I think it was really well executed. Now, wrapping up here, I'm just going to run through and say the specs again, just in case anybody forgot. It has 3 gigs of RAM. My particular model has 64 gigabytes of storage, and it has the Snapdragon 801, which I believe is 2.45 gigahertz. I could be totally wrong. Don't quote me on that. But those are the specs for the most part. If you want to know anything else, OnePlus's website's a really good resource to find out anything. The forums are great if you already own one and you need some help with something. I've gotten a lot of help there already with some weird things that might have happened, or if I changed a setting and couldn't get it back or something like that. So all in all, this is a great phone. In terms of Android versus iPhone, for me, I've stuck with Android as opposed to when I had the Moto G. I actually went back to my iPhone 5. I didn't really make a video about that or anything, but I did go back to the iPhone just because I guess I missed it. Some features that were lacking on the Moto G that the iPhone had. But nothing like that's happened yet with the OnePlus, so I'm not really sure what changed for me in that time period. If I just had a change of heart, or if the Cyanogen actually had some features that I was missing. So yeah, if you get a chance to get one, my verdict is get it. If you get an invite to buy one, go ahead and pull the trigger if you have money to spend on a phone. I definitely recommend it if it's something that you're looking to purchase here in the holiday season or something like that. That's all I have to say, guys. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have about the mystery OnePlus phone. Anything else you want to leave in the comments, let me know. I'm always listening. I read every single comment I get. Leave them down there. Don't forget to subscribe down below. Keep coming back. Like I said, I'm going to try and make more content as time goes on. And as the year progresses, hopefully I'll have more content that you guys are being interested in. Tech news. If I get any other devices, I'll review those as well. Be subscribed and stay tuned. Thanks, you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.